we have a last presentation which we should move into very quickly. Vikalp is an organization that's been set up as a startup which was founded by Annant Chaturvedi, and they've been looking at the rural side of the equation, largely looking at alternative ways in which you can look at alternative methods of farming, devoid of chemicals or any fossil fuels and usage thereof, and to innovate with an animal-driven and solar-powered and manual machines, and more importantly, unite farmers and provide direct market access to them. So this is very much ground up. This is something that complements this session, which is actually on cities. But it's important to remember this context because that's where I think the interface comes between cities and this thing. So I hope that introduction does some justice to it.
Thank you. I'm very bad at formal introductions, so I'll just skip to my work and it should do the talking. So I've been hearing the discussion that we've been having here, and people are leaning towards DREs and distributed energy. So that's what we've been working on. And the theme of this presentation is the Atmanirbhar Krishi, or self-reliant farming, as has been rightly sort of plugged in by the Honorable PM also, that we need to go this route. So we've been working with small and marginal farmers from a long time, and these are the two pillars that we feel that if we can take them away from fossil fuels and chemicals both, then they can truly be, we can design a self-reliant system around it. So, like I mentioned, we have our own research farm here, and we are a team of farmers and engineers both. I am an engineer by education. I'll say I was not a good engineer, but when I started working on the ground, I learned more. And so we have a few more people. I'll introduce them later in the slides. And the target is not only farming. So what we are dreaming about is a sustainable village, a small village, and that can lay a template for maybe other villages of the country. And work-wise, right now we are working with small and marginal farmers. And what we realized when we were designing machines and technologies for the farmers was that user context has been missing in the machines that have been sold to the farmers in this country. Like Israel से कुछ देखा तो यहाँ पे ले आए, Canada से कुछ देखा तो इधर ले आए. So what we need to also realize is that we are none of these countries. Our farmers different, our patterns of cropping are different. So we need to take the user demand and context and then design the solutions. So before we jump into what we've done, during our journey we realized that the small and marginal farmers are in a state of distress. And why that is happening is that I'll take you through example of the paddy crop, which is the staple crop across India. So if you look at the cost of various operations of farming, it's too much. Like they are paying about between 28 to 32,000 rupees per acre for growing paddy. And when they sell their crop, when they have a good crop, then they manage to make about 5 to 6,000 rupees per acre. And mind you, it takes about 4 to 5 months to prepare a crop. So, in all the stages, what they're doing, like, all the inputs that they're using, they're mostly, they're dependent on external market forces, totally. So now, farming today has become an unviable, polluting and highly dependent on external inputs. That's the state that we are in today. And we plan to change this by, some pillars that we call in our model. So the first is gobar or gomutra, or what we call cow dung. Then the second is animal energy. The third is the tools and the technology that we can use ourselves. We can use our own energy, and solar. So we are not saying there is just one way forward. There has to be a mix of different energies. And our farms, our small farms, provide an ideal platform for that. So what we've done over the course of our work, we've designed a whole model based on all these sources of energy. And this is what we are calling the Vikalp model. So in agriculture or in growing any crop, there are 8 broad stages that you have to go through. And we've designed an alternative at each stage. That is why we are calling the company Vikalp. Vikalp essentially means an alternative. So that's what we are doing. So I don't have time to take you through all of these, but yeah, there are like 8 stages, so 8 innovations broadly, 8 to 10. That's what we've done. And I'll take you through, let's say, a couple of them. First, I'll just take you through what we've done in irrigation. So right now, farmers have been, mostly using diesel pumps and doing this flood irrigation. It's a very tedious task, consumes a lot of water, requires a lot of time, and the quality of irrigation is still poor and uneven. So the government had a noble thought that this is a bad process. We are consuming a lot of diesel, we are emitting a lot of carbon. Let's substitute it with solar. Now what happens in solar is that the discharge is lesser. The engine is giving you high discharge, solar is giving you lower discharge. So what the farmer says is that I cannot transition to this because when I need more water, I have to get an engine on rent. So why should I transition? So even after a huge subsidy quantum on solar, farmers are not willing to transition because see, we need to address their problem. Their problem is irrigation. They say that हमें पहले 8 घंटा लगता था, अब 18 घंटा लग रहा है. तो हमें आप 80% दे दो, चाहे 90% दे दो. It doesn't make sense to us. So what we did was, and जितने भी micro irrigation के solutions आते हैं, they are not very compatible with solar right now because they require huge pressure and discharges generally. So what we did was, we designed a sprinkler which is optimized for solar pumps. It's not very clear from the video, but this is optimized for solar. So on our research farm, we have both 3 HP and 5 HP solar, and without any battery, without any storage, we are directly irrigating our fields with solar sprinklers. So now the water required is lesser, the time required is lesser, and the farmer gets an answer to his problem. कि हमें 8 घंटा लगता था, हमें 3-4 घंटा लगेगा. And we'll get the best quality of irrigation, it will be even, and a lot of farmers now realize कि sprinkler and drip and everything is good, but they used to feel कि ये बड़े लोगों की खेती है. These are made for rich, big farmers. Why? Because conventional mini sprinklers, they have a lot of parts, a lot of couplings, and it's a long process. उसको install करने के लिए भी experts चाहिए, and practically once you install it on a farm, you cannot shift it. This is a conventional sprinkler. तो अभी क्या है, छोटे farmers जो है ना, they have small patches of land. They need a system which can be shifted, which can be installed easily, which is very robust. So that's the feature of this sprinkler, which we are calling flexi sprinkler. This is my father and this is my farm. So as you can see, this sprinkler, yeah, this can be shifted when it is being used also. And there is just one sub-main line.
32 mm की सब-मेन ये दी गई है, जो कि एक ही बार में ये करीब 100 मीटर की लेंथ पड़ी हुई है और एक साथ ये गई हुई है, आप देख सकते हैं.
So not going into too much detail, but I'll give you a broad comparison. A sprinkler needs about 50 nozzles or 50 risers to cover 1 acre, and this sprinkler takes only 10 nozzles. So the beauty is in the design. With only 10 nozzles, we are managing to cover 1 acre, and suddenly the discharge water requirement and pressure requirement comes down, and the farmer can suddenly now think of solar as a viable option because it is doing its job. That's the primary thing. And with this sprinkler, we've done another breakthrough. We also have a bullock operated pump that we've designed, and it is drawing water from 60 to 70 feet from the ground. This is the pump, and you can see directly with the help of bullocks, we are drawing water from the ground and running this sprinkler. This is a very unique experiment. I have been to many farms, so I have not seen it anywhere else. This is a bamboo plantation that we've done on the riverside, and it is being irrigated with the help of sprinklers, directly with the bullock energy.
the discharge sufficient?
Yeah. So with 2 bullocks you can irrigate half an acre of land in, let's say, 2.5 hours. So these videos are quite raw because they're all shot on the farm. So this is one. Then I was hearing about what, I don't know your name, sir, but I heard your observation that we need to make smaller machines, smaller harvesters. So we've done exactly that. Right now, a farmer, I'll take you through that also. A farmer, generally harvests his field with sickles. We are talking about small farmers again. And this has become increasingly prohibitive because the cost of labor is going up. What we did as a nation or whatever happened to us was that instead of sickles, we directly went to big harvesters and all. But that technology has created its own set of problems because the harvester cuts the grain, 1.5 foot ऊपर से वो काटता है. So we see that whole stubble burning phenomena, which is predominantly happening in parts where the penetration of combine harvesters is more. So to address both these challenges, we need intermediate technologies, and that's what we designed. This is a battery-operated, BLDC-operated brush cutter that we designed. So it is cutting crop from the ground up, and it's quite easy for the labor. Labor requirement comes down drastically, and the cost of harvesting comes down drastically. From 4,000, 5,000 per acre, it comes down to less than 1,000 rupees per acre. So this is the kind of innovations that we are trying and making, and they're scaling up slowly. Now there is some context to this also, how this is being implemented in cities. So if you compare this brush cutter, the e-brush cutter that we've made, there is a competing product in the market. It's a petrol brush cutter, but it causes a lot of pollution, a lot of smoke, and for the user also there is a lot of vibration and tiredness that comes in. And to add to that, to use this machine for one day, you need about 600-700 rupees of input cost, and there's a lot of maintenance required. You contrast this with this e-brush cutter now. So in just one charge, this brush cutter runs about 5 to 6 hours. The battery only takes about half a unit of energy. You price it at any level, you will not spend more than 5 rupees. And it's smooth, it's easy, it's doing all your jobs.
What is the difference in the weight of it?
Weight is almost identical. Weight is comparable, but the ergonomics are different. For the engine, the ergonomics do not fit well. And if it is back mounted, then you have a tendency to fall backwards. The battery can be snug on your back. So it's much easier for the user also. And it's been tested by the government of India. They found this in their observations also. So what we did was, when we made this, and Mr. Shiv Sharnappa is not here, otherwise he would have been pleased that he has been mentioned here again. So this is some of the municipal parks in Kanpur where we are sort of demonstrating it. And he was supposed to be here, and when we demonstrated this to him, he liked this a lot, and he did a formal ceremony and he handed over some machines to his Nagar Nigam, and the response has been so terrific now. It's just a 1 month old, this whole process, and the response has been so good कि उनके सारे माली and the horticulture in charges, they are saying कि हमारे ward में क्यों नहीं आई ये machine, and we also need this. So it's scaling up automatically.
Let us say if we have a similar water pumping machine which is diesel powered,
Yeah.
that can also be potentially converted into an e-water pumping.
Yeah, sure, it can be done. See, so what we need to do is कि purpose solve होना चाहिए. जैसे उनको फसल काटनी है, हम कह रहे हैं pollution ना करिए, तो solution दीजिए कुछ और easy हो. It should be scalable for the farmer and the mali, because eventually हम लोग यहाँ बैठ के सब discussions करेंगे, point बना के चले जाएंगे, काम उनको करना है. So we need to take them into the picture, and that's what we've been trying to do. And ये मालियों को देखिए handover किया गया है, and there was good media coverage of this. So through all this process, what we've done is that this whole ecosystem, we started going to the farmers directly, inviting them to our farms, and again Rakesh ji has a big role to play there. So with Rakeshji's help, we've been able to, they've created 12 FPOs, farmer producer organizations, and through them 3,000 farmers have already joined this model, and now it's being scaled up there. And I'll show 15 minute पे time हो तो. So with these FPOs, अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं, जैसा राकेश जी कह रहे थे, we are directly processing their produce on the farm gate itself, getting it packed, काफी अच्छे products बना के, and this is a store that we opened. It's here in Civil Lines, and we also have a zero waste corner there. So we are trying to also take away people away from plastic, but in a practical manner. We are not imposing our model on them because we know that people will take things one at a time. So it's an organic store that we made. So through all of this, what is our aim? So the first slide that I showed you, that a farmer is spending a lot and he is getting nothing in return. So if we can scale up this whole model that we've made, the cost at every stage will come down drastically. They can be able to grow paddy or wheat in 5 to 6,000, 7,000 rupees an acre. When we manage to do that and integrate them with processing, then the net return per acre will jump up many fold. So in our farm and some farmers who have been associated with us, वो 5,000 की जगह 15,000, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 per acre कमा रहे हैं through paddy, which is the staple crop. And if you compare us with any other organic brand, we are still cheaper. So we are trying to bridge both the gaps to make small farmers transition to this model and to bring the cost of this natural produce down, so that it can become affordable for the middle classes also, not only the elites. And if this can be done, that's the dream, then the farming can be a viable and sustainable activity and also an aspirational activity, because it's the sense of pride which you are giving to the farmer. And अभी किसान का बेटा बिल्कुल किसान नहीं बनना चाह रहा है. We are trying to change that through our interventions. And
तो ये जो cost estimation आपका है, ये कितने टाइम पीरियड के ऊपर है?
एक साल,
एक क्रॉप
एक सीजन. I'm talking about one season. In fact, abhi recently we with Rakesh ji, we've been discussing a proposal with World Bank and Deloitte and all of these big shots on how to scale this up to 15,000 farmers in the next year itself. So talks are underway, and we know that we need people like these also, because
How old is your startup?
Sir, it's about 4 years old now. 2018 we were incorporated, but the journey began in 2016. मैंने 2 साल I just traveled mostly, and learning more data जो मिल रहा है उसको verify करके और फिर problems.
Have you made any scale up plans?
Yes sir, we have.
You have some projections?
Yeah, I can show that after the. Sure. We have that. That's what we've been discussing with all these big shots, that how to scale this up, and because what we also know for a fact, कि जितनी भी हम technologies दिखा रहे हैं, जो the small farmer is not being able to afford even these right now, like this brush cutter. It's not a very costly device. It's just 30,000 rupees, including the lithium phosphate battery and the charger and everything. But still, it is unaffordable for the farmer if he purchases it. So what about some models in which we can, give it to FPOs and they can have these farm machinery banks?
And in what stage is your startup? Like,
Sir, a lot of products are in the market.
funding and all.
So we are a bootstrap startup. We don't intend to go for funding directly, but we have a partner startup who is going for scaling on the ground. So basically our vision is to shift all our operations to my village where we have this farm. I don't want to shift to Bangalore, Gurgaon or anywhere. So, but yeah, there is someone who will do that. So
You have to have a business model or something.
there is.
There's one.
Yes sir.
What you were doing, the same thing was done at a much larger scale by custom hiring centers,
Yes sir.
right?
Yes sir.
They were fully supported by government.
Yes sir.
I think you should go and see the reasons of their failure.
Sir, again, a reason.
No, I'm not saying.
No, I have seen that.
They did not fail initially.
I have seen that, sir.
So they couldn't succeed.
Because user context is missing.
That's what the point I'm just making is this. Their experiences later, the SRU method was very good experience. But later on their experiences was to Because what initially they were projecting in the cost, they were actually, when they started scaling up, a lot of costs start getting into, adding into it.
Yes.
Scaling up makes a difference actually. Because you can have a very controlled ecosystem and get an idea tested.
Yes.
But when you started expanding it, there are a lot of
Inefficiencies get added to that.
Yes.
system costs start getting into it. Because as you said, that battery, you must not be calculating the charging cost.
Why not, sir?
Electricity.
We are taking it into account while we are.
What I'm saying is that the distribution utility that is charging to you, it must either be getting charged free or through that or something else. But when you want to scale up at that high level, all these costs start getting come into picture. That was the experience of custom hiring sector. Quite a large.
So may I just follow up with that, and this is a good conversation because this is a form of distributed energy.
Yeah, perfect.
This is a form of distributed energy. They are actually taking load away from you,
No, sir, it's not
from the
a
utility.
distributed
Right?
form of energy.
No, but they are
Distributed energy generation means the energy has to be generated.
no, I understand that, but they are taking load off of you.
So what we are doing is that the solar pump that we have,
In fact, so they are making
What-
my life much more miserable.
But that is the point, right?
but it has to be
I
done,
mean,
sir.
actually,
For policies to change, it has to be done.
No,
Who
but
is going to pay for it?
no. The
Sir,
point
I
is-
am coming to that if you let me
No,
answer.
No,
the point I am saying is, I tell you how you are making my life miserable.
Yes.
All these charging stations, because the charging happens in pulses. The current requirement of system goes up very drastically. So I have to replace my transformer, I have to replace my conductors. So anyway, the whole
It's not
system
connected to the grid.
No, but you are drawing energy from a grid, right?
No.
No.
Where from you are charging your battery?
From where you charge your
Solar.
That's what I am coming
Solar,
to.
solar, right?
So basically,
As long as you keep it away from grid,
It's-
then
That's the
will
plan,
go
sir.
with
That is the plan.
Completely
You
away.
start making it scale up, and you want to make systems more predictive, then you have to.
What is the total load of such a system?
I'll just come.
You read Tony Seva Stanford, redundancy of the grid, redundancy of the microgrids, this is.
Well, grid will always be there. Germans are realizing of late very in a harsh manner. Norwegians are realizing the grids are very important. Because grid is only
इसमें-
one thing which gives you a comfort of sense of certainty.
इसमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि जो सोलर के वाटर पंप्स गवर्नमेंट ने प्रमोट किए हैं या लोग लगा रहे हैं, वो एक पंप कैसे मल्टीपल यूज़ में आ जाए, वो यहाँ पर किया गया है, उसी से सब
पुराने
कुछ।
इसमें मध्य प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट ने 3 लाख सोलर पंप लगाए।
हाँ, तो उसको अभी ज़्यादातर जो लग रहे हैं वो ऐसे लग रहे हैं कि उससे आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, केवल सिंचाई कर सकते हैं, ऐसे वो बंधे हुए सिस्टम्स लग रहे हैं।
तो फिर पहले जब अलग-अलग स्टैंडर्ड सोलर पंप लगाए तो farmers-
सर एक सेकंड पूरा कर लेने दीजिए बात, आप बताओ कि किस तरह से।
Basically, coming back to that point, sir, सिर्फ अगर यूपी की बात करें, there are 40,000 solar pumps installed. उस पे एक बहुत छोटा सा डिवाइस लगता है, it's called a USB-C. That converts it into energy which is usable around the year. Because when we are, हमने फार्मर को एक सोलर पंप दे दिया, and it will be useful only for less than 100 days a year. तो वो एक्सेस एनर्जी का क्या करता है? We tell them कि आप उसको ग्रिड में वापस भेज दो, तो वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड कहाँ रहा? What we are saying is कि उसी सोलर से चार्ज करके आप अपना हार्वेस्टिंग कर लो, उसी सोलर से आप इरिगेशन कर लो, उसी सोलर से फर्टिगेशन कर लो, उसी सोलर से आप अपना थ्रेशिंग भी कर सकते हैं. We've designed a solar thresher. We have designed a solar, whole ecosystem. आप अपना गेहूं, अपना चावल, अपना चना, you can thresh it with solar threshers. So what we are saying is कि ऐसे छोटे छोटे पॉकेट्स बनाइए, वो 40,000 किसानों को पकड़िए और ये इकोसिस्टम रेप्लिकेट कर दीजिए, and it can be shared between farmers. So we are working on a model like that. Sir has asked me that question and I can address it after
I'm
the.
not discouraging or criticizing. I'm just saying the energy level you calculate how much energy a farmer need to live 24/7 and multiply that.
Sir,
And
right
see the
now-
kind of storage you need, the kind of source you need, that economics is difficult to work. That's why I'm only saying.
Right now we are working only on the operational aspects. Like उनको काम जो कर रहे हैं, वो काम पहले हो जाए. Then next stage might be to a better stage to think about उनके lifestyle requirements apart from their work. Right now yeah.
Just to be clear, you don't need 24/7 power for these applications, right? You can charge it during the day.
Yeah.
and it's sufficient.
Yeah. So
There's
most
one
of
issue,
these-
the marginal farmer, he has to have enough land to sustain his family.
Yeah.
You got 1 acre of farm.
Yeah.
Can you live with a family of 4 or 5 based on that 1 acre? That's a question which probably is not being addressed by your, because you are targeting is marginal farmers. Every time the family grows, 2 brothers gets divided further. So at the end of the day.
So my calculations are on 1 acre.
नहीं ना, मतलब आप 30,000 रुपए साल में कैसे फैमिली को चला सकते हो? मतलब इसलिए
30,000 रुपए साल नहीं है सर, 50,000 रुपए नेट रिटर्न।
10,000 रुपए पर साल, because 30,000
तो है अभी तो यही है सर, अभी इसीलिए छोड़ रहे ना खेती। अभी खेती छोड़ क्यों रहे लोग? पहला मौका मिलते ही वो गाँव में ईंटा उठाने को तैयार है, रिक्शा चलाने को तैयार है। They are not prepared to farm. So that is what we are trying to change. From 1 acre, if you can get a net return of 50,000 rupees from a crop like paddy.
See, I'll give you an example. Tell me of it. Return on investment on a pan tapri is very high. If you do not take into account the labor cost of the guy who's sitting there.
Yeah.
So ROI does not fit over there simply because everything is.
But here we've taken that into calculation also. Like if the cost that you incurred, we've taken all of that into account. Like if we can sit on that in detail. But so basically that's an approach, and already as I told you 3,000 farmers have joined this and 15,000 are in the process. So we'll try to scale it up as much as we can, and then other people can come up. You'll have better models, better mathematical analysis. That will all be there.
So I have a related question. So I mean, all of this is excellent and very interesting. I wouldn't comment on the technology side, but on the more livelihoods aspect. So you are presenting only one part of the story. So from the typical farmer household that you are talking about. So how diversified are their income sources now? I mean, are they solely relying on farming? So in which case this might actually be a good model. So that's problem number one. I mean, question number one. Second, I also have questions on how the data was collected. So the conventional model and the Vikalp model actually shows the Vikalp model to be, performing extremely well.
Yeah.
So which is encouraging, and definitely we should look into the details. But how exactly was the data collected, and the baseline and also the comparison? So I think a bit more rigor would actually help you, see through the process and improve it.
So I'll answer your second question first, sir. The data of conventional processes has been correlated with the handbooks that are easily available from the agriculture department and all the websites, and also with surveys with the farmers on the ground. The data that we've run on the Vikalp model, right now it is internal data, but we've just concluded an MOU with CSA University, which is the Chandrasekhar Azad University of Agriculture and Technology in Kanpur, to validate these models and these numbers. But let me tell you that some of these numbers have already been evaluated. For instance, what I'm talking about, the harvesting. So a team from Government of India came and evaluated that machine. So as part of that study, they also calculate the labor, the man hours required, the charging cycles and all of that. So individual technologies data has been evaluated by some independent organizations which are mandated for that. But yeah, as a whole, we'll try to get it evaluated with some premier body. I forward you first.
And the first question was about how diversified are the
income.
Yeah, so
how dependent are the current farmers on farming?
So sir, what we've done is that the heart of this model is the cow. So animal husbandry is automatically integrated. You cannot transition to this model without having cows, either shared or your own. So animal husbandry comes into the picture. The farmers are already making ghee and all these products. So that additional source of income is already there. Then other sectors like fisheries and जैसे तालाब बना रहे हैं खेतों में कुछ farmers, those can be integrated in the later stages. So it can be distributed. This is the first phase of what we've done.
So there are two related issues. I mean, because you are not looking at a cross section, you are looking at a transition. So some people who might have been in farming might have already moved out of farming.
Yeah.
So your idea is also to bring them back to farming, right? Or keep people farming so that.
पहले जो लोग कर सकते हैं सर उनको transition करा लें, and then see if it makes economic sense and if it is aspirational. Again, वो बंदा आएगा गाँव वापस बॉम्बे में जो भी कर रहा है उससे देखेगा बनारस में मेरा जो फार्मर है वो अच्छा कमा रहा है, उसको इज्जत मिल रही है, प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे जा रहा है, उसका प्रोडक्ट फार्म गेट से उठ रहा है. It automatically lights a bulb in your mind also कि why not come back here? And it's also economics. So Jaisa sir had said in the first session, market forces will also play a role, policy will also play a role. हमें policy support मिला भी है और नहीं भी मिला है. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं किसी को यहाँ पे criticize करूँगा, but yeah, all of these things will play a role in this transition. And we are making an effort from our own side. Like, if we don't get support, it's not like we stop working. अभी राकेश जी हैं, हम लोग कर रहे हैं, 5 साल से लगे पड़े हैं. कई मेरे दोस्त हैं जो they well settled in the US and I'll show the team. वो कहते हैं पागल है यार, आ जाए इधर उधर, but करना है तो करना है सर, ठीक है, जो आ जाएगा साथ में कर लेगा साथ में. But we hope, we are optimists and we hope that this system will work.
Okay, it's, one question back there and one more over there. We are at 1 o'clock, so maybe a few minutes over, because I think after that this stomach will call. Yeah. Yes, please.
How much effective is grass cutter for the intercropping systems?
For the intercropping, so see, there are two things that you need to do when you are intercropping. You either need to manage the grasses. जैसे there are 2 crops and उनके बीच में grasses हो जाता है. So we also designed a weeder attachment, which is very useful for that weeding process. Then we have a trimmer. So like on our farms, we are managing the intercropping with this system only. But yeah, if you have very dense intercropping, then it might be a problem. So it's not a one-stop solution for every sort of scenario imaginable, because again, India is a land of huge diversity. But yeah, this can be one way. That is why we are saying it is a Vikalp. It is not.
Because the driver needs some space to walk.
Yeah. So इसमें छोटे attachments हैं which are very simple and it can work between the rows. I'll show you some videos. But also one advantage of this battery operated cutter is that it doesn't have much vibration. So you have much more control. You have much more control over your operation. So you can protect your plants, and I'll show you a video.
Actually, I have some experience with this grass cutter. I'm basically from agriculture side.
Okay.
So that's why I have asked that how are you managing?
So I'll show you how different it is from those. It's much easier to manage intercropping with this compared to a petrol brush cutter.
In broad space, it's manageable.
Even in narrow spaces, it's quite manageable. I'll show you that. So,
Annant?
Yeah. So you mentioned in the beginning that you are promoting the use of gobar and human and animal power in agriculture as Vikalp.
Yeah.
And on the same side, you also said you want to make it aspirational. So this is a very tightrope kind of a situation, because this is all drudgery. I mean, this is the traditional way agriculture was done. People have moved away from that, and now you want to take them back to that original way in which we are promoting organic. So that is one critical challenge that you hope you handle that. And secondly, you talked about this Vikalp operated pumps. I think they were developed decades ago, and now we
those
have
are different, sir.
Major challenge of keeping bullocks, because at least in Maharashtra and many other states, you find keeping animals itself is very expensive to keep fodder and water requirement. So animal numbers are going down. So how do you reconcile it?
To answer your second question first, sir, I had a discussion with some senior scientists in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and they told me this number. We have about 4 crore draft cattle available in India as of date. And so I don't think there is scarcity of bullocks right now. Second question, that it needs to be aspirational. So we need also through an educative process to define what is aspirational. Like sir is an alumnus of IIT Kanpur. What business does he have planting trees? Many of his colleagues will think that this is not aspirational for me. So aspirationality also has to be reevaluated. We are a land of 1.2 billion people, 1.3 billion. So अगर हम खेती से पूरी तरह लोगों को हटा देंगे and everything automated, drones, this, that, then you struggle with a huge problem of unemployment. So we need to find a balance between efficiency and these huge big machines, they are not very suitable for our country.
One observation I want to make.
Yes.
Worldwide, hardly 1% of population enter into it.
Yes.
We are actually always want people to move out of agriculture to,
So that's a big debate, and I would not get into it
No, it's not question of debate. I mean, see, finally, our whole problem is the productivity of people in agriculture is so low that, and land size, somebody said, is fragmented. So there is no other way except taking the people out and moving to more productive sector. So
Productivity of the land is also very low
Very low,
in India
precisely.
compared to Canada, USA.
Right. So what happens is you have to use more machines, you have to use more fertilizer, you have to.
Not necessarily, not necessarily.
The bird has
Productivity of the individual in the
not-
agriculture, not necessarily that you have to move the person from the agriculture to the agriculture. You can't just make these blanket assumptions and then they can do this.
If we take people away from agriculture, we are all seeing the problems that we see that cities are overpopulated and villages are shrinking.
इसमें ये ध्यान देना पड़ेगा कि जिन देशों में बहुत कम लोग प्रोडक्शन में हैं उन्हीं देशों में मंदी ज़्यादा आती है।
बट सर मैंने शुरुआत में यही कहा था कि हम इंडिया हैं,
हिंदुस्तान में उतनी मंदी अभी तक नहीं आई है।
We cannot think like US and
I am not actually in debate, but I am saying this thought of alternate way of doing, this Indian way of doing. I don't know for last 10, 12 years, 20 years, 50 years we've been trying. And in fact, every time we realize, no, there is a standard way of doing. That
who will define that standard?
anyway, that's
Who will define those standards? It depends on who defines those standards.
I'm not entering into that.
I have a question about productivity there.
Yeah.
To me, if the income is going up,
Yeah.
that's one way to define productivity.
Yeah.
So if your income is tripling, then the productivity is increasing.
If I
Is the
reduce
yield,
the-
is the yield going down or is it
No,
the same or
it's
going
not.
up?
So like last year, because current paddy production is underway, but last year one of our farmers had 22 to 23 quintals of basmati paddy, which is generally average is like 14-15 quintals. And my neighbor, who had all the chemicals sprayed and all the modern processes employed, he had 12-13 quintals of hybrid paddy. So it's not that this is all aspiration and dream. It is happening on the ground. So, and there are a lot of people who are getting good yields out of these models, and they are really doing well for themselves.
Again, we cannot make a generalized statement. We need to look at what the sample size is. We need to look at how scalable this is. There are a lot of things that need to be done. Not saying that this is. I mean,
yeah, I'm saying it's
this
an option.
essentially is to see how what is it that this is done to get in inherent efficiencies in place, and that's what really matters. Right?
Yeah.
At this point in time, I think
Yeah.
that's where we should stop.
So I think we should stop.